Hello and welcome to some more This Week in Star Citizen, going over what CIG have planned this week, but also we're going to be taking a look at some concerns over the new master modes and ship combat model and dev responses to that. From CIG's This Week in Star Citizen post, we hope you had a stellar weekend. In the verse, our Capture the Idris event ends today, the 27th of February. There might still be time to try and take control of a behemoth yourself. We've had a blast, no pun intended, watching many of you take the wheel and fend off waves of players looking to board. From screenshots, videos, and all the valuable feedback presented, we thoroughly enjoyed soaking it all in, and already we have ideas on how we'll improve and expand future events. I personally, BoredGamer, was unable to find a server with it running on, but there's obviously a variety of footage of people getting on board, playing around with them, doing a bit of a tour of the interior. And that's one of the things I was most excited about this, was that the interior of the Idris M is functional and people can run around in it. It's a bit of a shame that that event was quite rare and hard to get sort of involved with, especially for smaller groups and solo players. But, I mean, it's still there. It's a thing. Not all gameplay is going to cater to solo and small groups. Some of it is going to be larger scale, for sure, especially capital ship fights and combat and fleet battles. CIG continue, Jumptown safe? Gear up and find out starting later Tuesday. Whether you're a responsible civilian upholding the law or a rambunctious rascal looking to cash out with the contraband, we'll see you planetside. So Jumptown is going to be running for the foreseeable future. We don't actually have a time on that. I expect a week or two. It'll be interesting to see how Jumptown is playing in the latest 3.22.1 build, because often there are problems with desync and invisible players, but the game's getting relatively refined now. I am much more looking forward to when they run Jumptown in, say, 3.23, or once we have sort of server meshing or something like that helps with netcode. CIG continue. As we march on towards Alpha 3.23, last week we took a look at some of the features and changes that will be introduced in this update. Inside Star Citizen explored master modes and how the upcoming changes will transform combat, and we followed up with the developers creating the distribution centers who answered the community's questions on Star Citizen Live. We've got videos breaking all that down already if you want to go check that out, and we're going to be talking more about the master mode stuff in a second anyway. In case you missed it, we also announced the biggest celebration of all things Star Citizen and you, our epic community. So save the date for this year's CitizenCon in October. So that's going to be running on the 19th to 20th of October in Manchester, UK. I believe there is a small event of some kind on the 18th day before as well. If October feels too far away for your next hangout with other like-minded people, you can check out barcitizen.sc for events near you. We hear there's going to be one happening in Manchester, the UK, this Saturday. So Saturday, the 2nd of March. That's at the Manchester Brewdog Doghouse. And Zin and I are going to be there, and I hope to see some of you there. What's happening this week then? So Tuesday, we've got another narrative update with the Galactopedia, getting some updates there. You're also going to see, as I said earlier, the return of Jumptown. So that's that event where different facilities around the Stanton system will be producing narcotics, which are very valuable, and you can either go and sell them for a big profit or turn them in for, again, profit, but in a more legal fashion. Thursday, inside Star Citizen, they're going to be looking at the state of the Idris. So there's going to be director's commentary with Nathan Dearsley and John Crew. Jump Point magazine is going to be turning up for subscribers. I might actually start looking a bit at Jump Point magazines for videos to an extent. I don't want to reveal the whole Jump Point magazine because I do want CIG to be able to encourage subscribers because of that magazine, do you know what I mean? But they're going to be looking behind the scenes at the Anvil F8C Lightning event, so the gold and platinum ticket event, but also taking a look at the Gatak Sulen and a walk around the Idris as well. That sounds pretty exciting to me, but there's also going to be a in-law history of the Pyro Headhunters gangs to help you prep for when Pyro is actually finally released, hopefully in summer this year. There is no Star Citizen Live this week, unfortunately. I did see that CIG had added an Arena Commander section in the community tab of their website, so this is a nice place to go to if you want to see the current schedules of game modes and what they are and awards you can achieve in Arena Commander. I do want to move on to dev responses on master modes. In a recent Inside Star Citizen Masters and Blasters, CIG talked about master modes and gunnery updates that are coming in Alpha 3.23. but also these are testable now in 3.22.1, the live build. Some people are concerned about the direction for the combat model, and that what they're doing with it is dumbing it down, making the sort of skill ceiling too low, removing the depth and skill from flying, making everyone's sort of shots hit more easily, and actually focusing on short-term solutions to something that will actually make players in the long term not enjoy the game so much. And some things aren't solved particularly well. Maybe in PvP there's more jousting rather than less. There's a lot of conversation and friction between PvP and PvE balancing, which are very different, it seems. And CIG are approaching it in different ways, but obviously they're trying to have a unified flight and combat model. But is the experience too arcadey? Is it too basic? Is it not simmy enough? Obviously no one wants a full-on, well, maybe some people do, a super sim in space. I'm not like that at all. I want something a bit gamified at the very least, and I'm fine with it being a arcade experience that's fun with a bit of sim and depth to it, as long as there is a good amount of depth to combat, where yes, a really skilled player can do really well. That's what I'm after. Obviously the landscape's going to be fully changing with the master modes. My suggestion to everyone though is to play master modes in the 3.22.1 build now, and test that in Arena Commander and give feedback. I'd recommend trying some PvE with the Pirate Swarm modes, as well as doing some PvP, be it 1v1 or more squadron battle dogfighting, as I personally think that Cloud Imperium might be going in the right direction with the master modes, as long as they add a good amount of depth to the combat and to the gameplay as well, because that does seem to be relatively lacking the same sort of depth in the direction they're going at the moment, but it's not refined yet. There's a load of stuff they can do after they get everything within the archetypes properly, get some more weapon balance in. Yes, a lot of it is going to be loadout driven, and it is going to make it so that ace pilots can't take on a wing of other pilots. But I'm not sure if that's necessarily a bad thing. Yeah, as long as there's a reasonable amount of depth to it, I'm okay, but let's hope that there is that depth, and giving feedback and helping develop it, that is literally one of the ways we'll get that. Anyway, moving on to some of these dev responses, there was a thread. YogiClat, CIG, your own words in the Master Mode Inside Star Citizen video does not describe the same game that Chris Roberts pitched us. With due respect, YogiClat, you said you need our input so we can work together on this space combat game. Watching the latest videos announcing the salvage missions, distribution centers, and now master modes, and many more, it seems like this is nothing but a space combat game. And in your own words, that is exactly where it is heading, it seems. I don't care for PvP, but I'm not against it at all, nor am I against piracy or aggressive NPCs that pirate and thrill kill or whatever. But the diverse universe that Chris Roberts pitched us, where players would all have their place and be able to enjoy the game, has all but disappeared in the last few years, as it's been appearing to move toward being a space combat game. Throw PvE players a bone once in a while, and at least attempt to make it look like we have something to look forward to besides being content for PvP. YogiClat, CIG's principal vehicle programmer, replied to this. Obviously, he was referenced in the statement from the original poster. They said, when we do recordings, we have a limited time slot of about 60 minutes to get all the recording takes. For me, as someone who does not do this every day, it comes with a certain level of anxiety. I'm a dev, not a moderator, so having multiple cameras in my face is probably not something I will ever get used to easily. That also means I cannot take too long to formulate what I have to say. So sure, I may have misspoken when I said Star Citizen is a space combat game, but we all know that Star Citizen is much more than space combat. You will find exact quotes from me on Spectrum if you search, but really this is just me talking about my work as someone who deals with the flight experience and space combat on a daily basis, so please do not overanalyze what I say. I speak only for the area for which I am responsible for, not the entirety of the game. The core message here is that there is a big push to streamline the combat and flight experience for everyone, and combat can happen to you anywhere in the verse, in any ship. So that means that all ships need to be placed in some form of balance in a scheme that is consistent across the game. That is what the segment was about. Nothing else. Yeah, basically, YogiClat there saying they were talking about ship archetypes and combat and that sort of stuff, where a big tenet and core part of Star Citizen is going to be ship combat. It is obviously not all of it. Now, Rich Tyree then came up with a follow-up message. So he is the senior game director for Squadron 42 and Star Citizen. He said, first off, I would like to thank Yogi for taking his time out of development to actually go on Inside Star Citizen and talk about his work, and for the fantastic job he is doing. thing I know firsthand because I am always asking him for things. Secondly, I wanted to quickly address the feeling that Star Citizen is all about combat and nothing else. As someone who is responsible for the big picture, I want to personally reassure all citizens out there that combat is just one facet of the game we are making. I know all the features that are currently in development, and we spend a huge time on things that are nothing to do with combat. For example, in 3.23, we should be introducing freight elevators, which is a long-standing feature that should enhance the cargo hauling gameplay loop. We are also pushing for brand new cargo hauling missions to greater support this. Post Alpha 3.23, we have huge plans, not ideas for the next 10 years, but tangible plans in action that we talked about at CitizenCon, which will involve lots of non-combat gameplay loops like base building and crafting that will also unlock further missions and loops like research for crafting blueprints, exploration, scanning, and excavation of materials both in space and on planets, etc., not even including the dynamic economy, quantum. Combat is one of the many core loops that exist in Star Citizen, but it's not the only one. So if an Inside Star Citizen or email or segment seems to be focused on one aspect of Star Citizen, that's what it is. It's a focus on one aspect, not all of Star Citizen. Also in regards to PvE and PvP, again, rest assured that the plan includes systems like Stanton being heavily policed with swift retribution for criminals and shield technology that will protect landing zones and stations. This does not mean criminality cannot happen, but the risk should be great. Then we have systems that are lawless, like Pyro. Those systems will offer greater rewards for traders and haulers, but at an increased risk of piracy. All of these systems will come into the game. We will also have some dedicated gameplay just for PvP players in lawless systems, but that's for another time. I also know our community can only react to what you see from us, so hopefully this post gives a little more insight to the bigger picture at hand. I'm really glad that YogiClat and Rich Tyreer posted there, because that does give a bit more of a overview of what's going on and a bit more context to everything. Now, one of the things that people are going to see is that there is a lot of combat focus at the moment on Star Citizen because they feature complete Squadron 42, and that is almost entirely a combat game. Yeah, that's its focus, FPS and ship combat, and those features are coming into the persistent universe, so it's a lot of combat focus, right? There was another thread from 3.23 onwards, you will not be able to mount fixed guns on your ships. And basically, the original poster here says, well, actually, fixed guns allowed you to make a decision about risk and reward for your loadouts that were actually an interesting strategy. And sort of, why have you done this? Why have you made everything gimbaled? Doesn't this just reduce the skill ceiling of the game? YogiClat responded, the pure DPS difference is a pretty big factor. After we changed the system, most players actually stayed fixed as the DPS output is higher this way. The actual skill difference was not in using gimbals or not. It was specifically in using auto gimbals, and auto gimbals will not be allowed for pilots anymore. I believe that auto gimbals are planned as a exclusive feature to manned turrets. Another thread, recent Inside Star Citizen about master modes, basically said, I'm a bit let down as this Inside Star Citizen talked about master modes, but didn't talk about industry ships or trading ships. Is there not an archetype for ships like the Mole or the Prospector? What is a C2 considered as? What is a Mole considered as? Can CIG please explain what they're thinking for a non-combat player? YogiCat again responded, Prospectors or Moles start in an archetype that is most suitable to their size and then get adjusted from there. E.g., the Aurora, hardly a combat ship, starts as a light fighter due to its size. Obviously, we don't want the ship to be as agile as a specialized dogfighter, so it gets adjusted from there. In that case, that roughly equals to trading agility for durability. So you can expect an Aurora to take quite a bit more punishment than, e.g., a Gladius, but not be able to outmaneuver one. I currently don't have the C2 and Mole in my head, that's rather for Mattia, but A2, C2 and M2, e.g. will be based on the same archetype. And just for reference, the archetypes that Cloud Imperium exposed in the Inside Star Citizen was Snub, Light Fighter, Medium Fighter, Heavy Fighter, Gunboat, Corvette, and Frigate. But also there were subclasses like Interceptor, which then modify one of those archetypes, and obviously there's almost certainly going to be more archetypes beyond that. Anyway, YogiCat continues, from a balance point of view, however, there is no differentiation between combat and non-combat ships. Combat can and will happen to all of them. Ships are usually balanced around offensive capabilities, agility and durability, so they all need to fit a scheme that provides fairness and options for pilots on both sides. There is, of course, a lot more detail work in there, e.g. how pleasant the ship is at handling, how long the master mode swap times are, etc. So that makes sense. Maybe they will expand it out so there are some additional archetypes for industry ships, small industry, medium industry, large industry, or hauling ships, whatever, or they might just do it as subclasses, the sort of sub-archetypes like they do with Interceptor and Fighter Bomber, because it sounds like with the Aurora, for example, they've basically gone light fighter, but we're giving it Fighter Bomber tuning, which, as they said, reduces the sort of maneuverability for being a bit more tanky, so it can actually unleash its payload. Now, that's not what the Aurora's doing, but it is supposed to be a more tanky boy. I've waffled on far too much about master modes and the dev responses and this week in Star Citizen. I'm really interested to know what you think about the direction of master modes and CIG's responses and what they've showed and the archetypes and that sort of stuff. Are you excited for it? Do you think there is going to be a lot more depth of gameplay there eventually as well? Do you think we're losing too much by moving to this new system? Are you looking forward to a lot of information coming out this week on the Idris and its interior and that sort of jazz? Whatever your thoughts or questions, I would love to hear from you in the comments below. People always ask me, what's your favourite ship? And I always answer, it's NordVPN with its powerful loadout. It wrecks pros and noobs alike. I can cruise around the verse with the added security that online threats aren't as much of a big deal. It also deals with intrusive ads like this one and gives you a greater accessibility to content you may want to watch on other platforms. I can watch Japanese Netflix. Is that even a thing? Maybe. You can find out with NordVPN. It is worth mentioning that CIG and Star Citizen don't actually produce a NordVPN ship yet, but NordVPN is available separately from the links below, and clicking those does help me buy spaceships, so it's basically the same thing, right? Go to nordvpn.com/BoredGamer. Get Nord, give ships. I don't know. That's an amazing promo. Every month, we give away a ship for Star Citizen. For February 2024, we're giving away a Drake Corsair Explorer with lifetime insurance and a game package. Everything you need to play and explore Star Citizen in style. All you need to do to be in for a chance of winning that is comment on any of my videos made during this month. It is as easy as that. More details in the comments below. A massive thank you to everyone that goes the extra mile in supporting the channel. It is with your support we are able to make daily Star Citizen videos. If you want to be one of those lovely people, then please check out the join button under my videos. That will help you become a channel member. There's Patreon, there's direct donations. All the links for all of that are down below. But there are loads of non-monetary ways you can help support us. Commenting, sharing, liking, all of that sort of stuff goes a huge way in helping the channel grow. Thank you so much for watching to the end, and you have a great day.